Law Show, answering your legal questions. Featuring attorneys Tommy Siniard, Bart Siniard, and your host, Aaron Dacey. This is the Siniard Law Show.
Good evening and welcome to the Siniard Law Show. We are so glad that you're joining us. You can get your questions answered for free right here on the Siniard Law Show. Tommy Siniard has been recognized by the best lawyers in America 31 years running. And Tommy, congratulations on having the Siniard Law Show. This will be a great way for you to continue reaching out to the community, and you have a new attorney with us.
Well, not new. He's been with us 3 years, but new to the Tennessee Valley, maybe. Harrison Lane. We're so thrilled with what Harrison has done and is doing in our law firm, and couldn't be prouder of his progress.
Congratulations, Harrison. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be here. I actually am somewhat familiar. My parents were broadcasters here back in the 80s. So
here at WAFF, right?
Absolutely. Robert Lane and Pam Carlton are my parents. And sometimes people think, wow, that must be really cool. And it is, until you get in trouble and then you get the broadcaster treatment, as I like to call it, which is where my dad would just go, Harrison, we're so disappointed in you. Now, Pam, over to you. So, it's a thrill to be here. Thank you.
Harrison is a Huntsville High School graduate. He went to the University of Alabama and then to the Mississippi College of Law, where he graduated with honors, and he's been with us since 2022.
Fantastic. That is wonderful, just coming right back home.
Absolutely.
So Harrison is going to help us learn about homeowners insurance, right? And how we know if we are adequately covered.
Well, I'm going to stick my nose in here first because I love to talk and talk about homeowners coverage. You need to have replacement coverage for your homeowners. Now, there's an actual cash value, which means if your house burns or blows down from a tornado, you might get 60% of its value. Don't fall for that. ACV, actual cash value. You do not want that. You want replacement cost. The other thing that was a mystery even to me is riders. If you have guns or jewelries or collectibles, your homeowners typically covers that up to $5,000. So any woman with a diamond is probably not covered enough. Mm-hmm. Same way with I have sports memorabilia. Had I not increased it with a rider, which is just more insurance for that category, and something happened to that valuable stuff, tough luck. Same way with guns.
Now, you have to have proof, though, of how much that costs, right?
Well, with your jewelry and your guns and your collectibles, you have to have appraisals.
Okay.
If you're going to make a claim. So it's important to get a rider if you have assets that are valued less or more than $5,000. The other thing that I do investment in rental properties, and people thought I was crazy, but there is no earthquake coverage in a standard homeowner's policy. It's like, why in the world would you worry about that in Alabama?
We're on the New Madrid Fault.
Absolutely. So if you've got property and it falls to the earth from earth movement, sinkholes, or earthquakes, you're sunk. You can buy it for a little bit of money. They won't tell you at your insurance company about it. So medical payments is another area. Enlighten us about that, Harrison.
Certainly. So in your homeowner's coverage, when you go and create your policy, typically you're going to be afforded some version of medical payments coverage. You may ask what that is. What it actually is it's a no-fault system that is a sorted amount of money, typically somewhere between $1,000 to $5,000, that if somebody's injured on your property due to your negligence, or you injure somebody due to your own negligence that isn't an automobile accident, for example, if they're injured in some way, shape, or form, that's a little bit of money that's a no-fault system that can be afforded to them to help cover medical bills.
Right, and even if it's not your fault, if they trip on their own shoelaces and they're in your home, MedPay will cover up to the limits, which are typically $5,000, but you can buy more, right?
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about DUI. There was quite a successful, depending on how you want to look at it, campaign, drive sober or get pulled over here. And HPD, Huntsville Police, arrested a lot of people.
Yeah, it waxes and wanes. There's a DUI task force, and they are strewn out into the public and will have DUI checkpoints. So, you've got to know that if your blood alcohol is above a 0.08, they're going to arrest you for driving under the influence. It doesn't have to be alcohol. If you are under the influence of drugs.
Does marijuana, is that included?
It's in the opinion of the police officer that you are incapable of safely driving a vehicle, regardless of whether it's something that can be tested in your blood or not. So yes, there have been arrests for marijuana. It is detectable in your bloodstream. The amount of it is almost impossible to detect, but it's mostly alcohol, and you just can't get out there with a blood alcohol over a 0.08. If you're driving a car with an infant, a child, pre-adolescent, you can be charged with reckless endangerment, which is a felony, up to 5 years in prison. So it's not a game, it's about safety, and you need to heed the call.
And it makes a big difference when it comes to litigation if there has been some kind of substance abuse.
Well, let's start with the criminal penalties. The penalties for DUI, Harrison, up to a year or more. Going to the civil side of it, what do we see as to how that impacts liability?
Well, first of all, of course, it's terrible to get behind the wheel of a vehicle and drive, but certainly if you injure somebody else on the roadways, I mean, that's a pretty extreme circumstance. And a lot of those cases that we handle within a DUI setting, those people have some pretty significant damages. So in Alabama, at least under the law, when you're injured due to a wreck, you're entitled to compensation damages, compensatory damages. Those are things, medical bills, mental anguish, things of that nature. But when somebody's under the influence, there's a new category of damages that you can recover, and that's called punitive damages. And I know that Barnes spoke about it last week a little bit, but in essence, they're there to punish the wrongdoer, the tortfeasor who's caused you injury. But Tommy, what do you do if that person that was arrested for drunk driving doesn't have any insurance?
Well, first of all, the person that causes the wreck, you can sue them until the cows come home. But if they have no insurance, sometimes you're lucky to collect if there's not insurance. There is underinsured motorist coverage or uninsured motorists. 20% of everybody driving around out there has no insurance here. You buy uninsured/underinsured motorist coverage. If someone hits you and they have no coverage or they have too little, you turn back against your own insurance company. Doesn't affect your rates or whether or not they'll write your coverage. But there's typically coverage that you have in a full coverage policy that protects you against the uninsured or underinsured motorists.
Goes back to calling your insurance company to make sure that you're covered with your car insurance, and
Correct.
like you guys talked about today with homeowners insurance.
We see a lot of people who think that they have full coverage only to find out they only have liability only. So as Aaron stated, it's very important to make sure that you're checking that periodically to make sure you know what your coverage is.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you guys giving us a heads up on that. That's very important. So let's go on to one of our voicemail questions. We have a question today from Michael.
I was involved in a commercial truck accident where I was a driver for a company. Was fired before I was able to submit a workers' comp. And once I did submit the workers' comp, they denied me the income side of it. The medical side was granted, but the income side was denied. Do I have any recourse of obtaining that income side of a workers' comp?
Let me go through a couple of things here. If you're injured on the job and you report it, then your employer has workers' compensation insurance coverage typically that covers 100% of your medical, supposed to pay you 2/3% of your average weekly wage while you're out on doctor's orders. And then if you have a permanent injury, if it's a 1% impairment or 100%, you're entitled to a separate compensation that your employer rarely tells you about. So them denying him that isn't right. Now, if they discharge you, you can be discharged in Alabama for good reason, bad reason, or no reason. We're an at-will employment state. You cannot be discharged for filing or pursuing a workers' compensation case. That's retaliation, retaliatory discharge. Sounds like that's what's going on here.
It certainly does. One of the tougher points about retaliatory discharge, though, is just how difficult it is to prove that you've been fired because you filed a workers' compensation claim. So it's important that you yourself are also keeping up with any information, text messages, letters, notes, whatever it is that may help prove that, because it is sort of a smoking gun standard. Unless you're able to show with certainty that you were fired because you're pursuing a workers' compensation claim, it's going to be hard to recover anything for retaliatory discharge.
Yeah, Aaron, our firm is one of a handful that handles workers' compensation cases. The fee's not as large, and so these billboard lawyers aren't chasing those cases. I'm proud to do them. Been doing them 45 years. My dad was a working man.
And you can call SiniardLaw.com at any time and have a consultation, and that's not going to cost you anything.
For free, and we're happy to advise people that work for a living on their comp claims.
And we'll let you know one way or another what your options are, so that you're just better informed as to what to do.
Yeah, this gentleman ought to call, and let's sort through it.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Stay with us. When we come back, you'll hear more questions from our viewers, and also you'll hear from Lee Marshall, who is with Kids to Love, which helps foster kids right here in North Alabama.
North Alabama's largest and most iconic 5K is back. The 2025 Liz Hurley Ribbon Run and Survivors Walk, Saturday, October 18th in downtown Huntsville. Don't you want to be part of this? Go to WAFF.com to register.
I got sandwiched between an 18-wheeler and a truck. During the accident, I lost my left leg. I chose Siniard Law because my granddad knew they had a great reputation. They were very knowledgeable. They were very sweet. We had a connection. They pretty much treated us like family. I would definitely recommend Siniard Law because they are caring and they will help you get what you deserve. If you've been injured, call Siniard Law.
Welcome back to the Siniard Law Show. Besides providing legal advice and legal services here in the Tennessee Valley, Siniard Law is committed to highlighting folks in the community who are really making a difference. Tommy Siniard is joined by Lee Marshall with Kids to Love.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm proud to be here today with Lee Marshall from Kids to Love. For us, she's a local hero. Part and parcel of what she does is takes care of adopted children or works on behalf of adoptees. Welcome.
Thanks, Tommy. Honored to be here, and congratulations on the show. You guys are killing it.
Oh, well, thank you. We're real proud of it. Lee, give everybody a little background as to your life and what got you interested in such a terrific contribution you've made to our community.
Well, it's kind of a full circle moment to be back here in the studio to be able to share
Lee
that.
used to be an anchor here for a couple of years.
Couple years ago, yeah. Kids to Love, we are 21 years old. Our mission is to meet the immediate needs of children in foster care. And that really came out of a personal testimony of mine. I was born into foster care, placed with my family at 6 weeks old, adopted at the age of 2. Growing up, I always knew that I was adopted. It was something that my parents instilled in me that made me different and special. But I also feel like it was part of a bigger picture that later on in life I would come to realize, and that truly was living out my calling to be a voice and advocate for other children in foster care with the goal of adoption, hopefully, that of so many, more than 6,000 in Alabama and 9,000 in Tennessee that wait for a forever family.
Wow. And so you've been such an instrument to this. I think you said the children that have been affected over your 21-year career in helping them is 300,000.
And counting every single day.
Okay, there are many elements to Kids to Love. First, let's say it's a charity, a tax-deductible charity. Yes. You are accepting contributions.
Always, and thank you guys for your support, by the way.
We're proud to give it, but everybody thinks you just walk out and help. It takes a lot of time, energy, effort, and money.
Yeah, it does.
So give us the elements of Kids to Love. I know it's just not a single unit.
Right. It does take a lot of money. It takes a lot of money for us because we do not accept any state or federal funds. So for us, we operate independently. So that means every dollar we raise local, and when we spend it, it stays local to invest in our kids. What we've done with Kids to Love is we have created what I call an ecosystem in the foster care world, that no matter when a child enters the foster care system, we have got a program and outreach in place to meet them where they are, to help them navigate, even though necessary, the hard journey of foster care. Especially the burden I have are for those older teenagers that are getting ready to age out with no support system. And so we've got programs like K-Tech, a workforce training initiative, where we have awarded more than 600 certifications. That's more than 600 lives that have been changed. Davidson Farms, where girls live with us full time. You think about everything our parents taught us. Our kids come to us with none of that base level skills, and Kids to Love is just instrumental in doing that. And then one of the biggest things, one of the newest things that we've added is our mental wellness center and trauma therapy. And that's not just for our kids in foster care, that's licensed through the Department of Mental Health to serve all children in our community. Wow. And our focus is trauma focus, and what we have there is we have launched what will be the national model on trauma and trauma therapy, so other communities can come and learn and learn from us, and then take back what they learned to their community to really heal these kids from the trauma that foster care imposes on them.
So we're not talking just about physical trauma, we're talking about mental and emotional trauma.
Yeah, I mean, you know, children that we see, by the time a child enters foster care, they've experienced at least 6 traumatic episodes. That can be physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, maybe all of those. A lot of our kids come in, and it's hard for us to see this in a community as affluent as North Alabama is, but they're hungry. I mean, we have kids that go without food in our community every night. And so these are the real crises that our team is on the front lines working to respond to and to solve immediately.
Unlike your situation where you were adopted or became got a foster family when you were an infant, that's not always the case.
Exactly, and the longer that a child lingers in foster care, the harder it is for them to get adopted. It's been my experience when a child hits about the age of 6 that the opportunity for them to be adopted goes way down. We get it, everybody wants babies, but you know, when you have a child that is pulled into the safety of foster care because of the hell that they live in, they can't help their age. They can't help what happened to them. And so that's why for us recruiting and licensing foster families and supporting that effort to successfully privatize foster care, as we have done as an organization in the past 2 years in the state of Alabama, is unprecedented. And that's why I'm just so passionate about giving these kids a stable home environment, because every child needs that. And you just think of the difference when we all have that, how we can thrive.
So, I mean, aside from taking care of these kids, there's HR, human resources, for you to do. You've got to raise the money each and every month and year. So,
yes.
So there's marketing,
yes,
for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And then you have to have the soul to be directly involved, as you are now, with some of these children.
Right. I mean, it's, you know, nonprofits are business, and to be successful, you have to run it as one. The difference with us is we ask our community to come along and support us, and they're supporting a child that they may never personally meet.
Wow.
And so, but it's so important, and our community is so generous. You can always learn more at kidstolove.org. We're very active on all the social media channels. We would love to have a conversation with more people and get them included, and appreciate everything y'all do to help our mission come to life.
Well, we're proud to contribute. And if somebody viewing in the viewing audience wants to contribute, what's the best and fastest way?
Kidstolove.org. You can email me, Lee, L-E-E, at kidstolove.org. Our offices are in Madison, and based right here in Madison County. Our main campus is there. Like I said, we're very active: Facebook, Instagram, all the social channels, so you can find us there, and we'd love to get people plugged in.
Is there a place if people want to donate, they don't have the money or don't want to contribute money, their time and other resources?
we have to have an army of volunteers to do 6,000 backpacks for school supplies and 2,000 wish list at Christmas. So there's volunteer opportunities, there's direct service opportunities. You know, I mean, it takes a lot to feed and clothe our kids, a lot of toiletry items, a lot of hairspray and shampoo that we go through out at that farm with teenage girls. So there's a lot of ways people can get involved, and they can find all that on our website.
We're so proud of you, Lee.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
We're proud to be an active contributor.
Appreciate it so much. Absolutely. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, Lee, for all that you do for our community. And Harrison, it must make you feel really good that your firm is supporting Kids to Love and other charities like that.
Absolutely, Aaron. I mean, it really is something that we're passionate about, and what Lee's doing with those kids and for those kids is nothing short of spectacular. But, you know, we want to be a pillar of our community and give back and be members of society. So it's very important for us, and we're happy to be a part of it.
All right, thank you very much. And when Siniard Law Show returns, we will answer some more of your legal questions. The one we have coming up has to do with pharmaceutical errors. We'll be right back.
Our firm, Siniard Law, we represent people who have been injured due to the negligence of somebody else.
I think we separate ourselves by not only our experience, but our community involvement and our dedication to every client.
The people of North Alabama are very important to all of us because this is home.
We are a Huntsville law firm that cares about Huntsville and North Alabama. If you've been injured, call Siniard Law.
Welcome back to the Siniard Law Show, where we are very happy to take your questions either by voicemail or by email. Tonight we have an email from Janice. Here is her question. She says her mother was given the wrong pills at the pharmacy. She was prescribed a medicine called digoxin for her heart by her cardiologist, but the pharmacy gave her a drug called dabigatran, which is some type of blood thinner. Now, she was already on a blood thinner called Coumadin, so until they figured out that mix-up, this woman was on 2 blood thinners and was not getting the digoxin. She is now in the hospital due to a brain bleed, and the viewer wants to know what can be done in this situation.
So this is a classic, what we call medication error, and it is a form of medical liability or malpractice. We see it from the wrong administration of drugs at hospitals and nursing homes to pharmacy errors where they don't fill the bottle correctly or they give the wrong instruction to the patient. And so it's a whole host of catastrophes involving the dispensation of medicine. In this case, what happened is the person didn't get the drug they needed, but they got a blood thinner, anticoagulant, going on top of the strongest anticoagulant there is, Coumadin, and guess what? They had a brain bleed. So this is a case, because had the forget what not getting the digoxin did. Look at what the double dose of blood thinners did. Most likely it's what caused the brain bleed, which put her in the hospital, can be lethal. Harrison, you and I worked on a case in Tennessee that was a nightmarish medication error. Tell us about that.
Absolutely, and Tommy and I worked on it together. Sometimes when we work together, magic happens. So it's only fitting, only fitting that we're here today together. But it was not an error. It was a discontinuation of an anti-rejection medication called tacrolimus, and we had a client who had recently had an organ transplant, and under no circumstances are you supposed to come off of that medication. And one of her treating doctors took her off of it, and her body started to reject the organ. And so Tommy and I did research into it, looked into it, met with an expert, and in any medical malpractice case, you have to have a similarly situated expert to testify that there is a breach of the medical standard of care. What does that typically look like? Or in that case, what did it look like?
Well, the ultimate result was this young lady who was in her 30s had had a kidney transplant. Never, never, never are you supposed to be taken off this anti-rejection drug, tacrolimus. They took her off at a noted Tennessee hospital, and lo and behold, it wasn't, 12 days, Harrison, that she started rejecting her kidney. And the consequences were dire. Now, she hasn't had to have a retransplant, but she's got serious complications. We were able to settle that case for a very, very significant sum of money, but money doesn't fix some things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, they go through so much to get the organ transplant
And it was
to begin with.
It was a perfect match. You have to have a match. Yeah. She was doing so well until there was this medication mishap. And it wasn't even a nephrologist who took her off of it. It was a hospitalist. And of course, she abided by what she was told.
Right.
And it's almost cost her her life. It certainly has already cost her her health.
Wow. Let's move on to another email question tonight. This person says, my house burned down last year and I'm having a really hard time with my insurance company getting them to pay what is owed. How does a lawyer charge me if I end up needing a lawyer?
Well, we don't charge anybody anything unless we A, take the case, and B, recover. We do it on a percentage, and that's our calling card. So under these unfortunate situations with a house burning and the claim denied, we don't charge for consultation or for anything along the way unless we get them money. So with a house burning, Harrison, can you imagine the claim being denied? Talk to us about bad faith and mental anguish.
Well, and first of all, our thoughts, prayers go out to you, especially if your house is burned down. Where do you go? What do? You look to your insurance company because you're paying that premium. And it's there really to help you in moments like this. And so it's sad to know that it's denied. However, as Tommy's kind of alluding to, your insurance company has a duty to act in good faith. As we previously mentioned, it's because, well, you're paying that premium. So they have a duty to timely inspect everything and resolve the claim, issue payment, whether that's replacement of your home or whatever the damage may be. And when they fail to do that, you may have a claim for what is known as bad faith or your insurance company's failure to properly investigate your claim. And when that happens, it can, again, open up an opportunity to reclaim or to claim punitive damages under Alabama law.
Yeah, I have a case now where the homeowners were not at home and they had a pipe burst and just flooded their home. And they lived in their driveway in a camper that they bought out of their own pocket and are still living there after 9 months. So sued the insurance company for the contractual claim that they haven't had the house fixed, but I also sued them for bad faith for failure to make a determined promptly, pay the claim, and let them get their house fixed. And we're already talking about a resolution, and it's not going to be just the value of what's wrong with the house. We're talking about punitive damages.
All right. Thank you both, gentlemen, for your legal advice, your expertise, and for your community interview tonight with Kids to Love. That was a fantastic spotlight.
Thank you, Aaron. We sure appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all.
And on the Siniard Law Show next week, we're going to be talking about family law disputes. We would love to have your questions. Please just give us a call at 844-7000-LAW, or you can send us your questions by email, questions@siniardlaw.com. Make sure you join us every Sunday night after the news right here on WAFF 48 for the Siniard Law Show.
The preceding was a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys, paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys.